Meanwhile, back here stateside, the on-again, off-again friendship between President Trump and New York City Mayor Mamdani is off again tonight. After the mayor's now viral interview with the New York Times, Mamdani told the Times podcast The Interview that his administration has discussed whether Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could be arrested if he attends the UN General Assembly here in New York this fall. Listen.
Look, I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu belongs in The Hague. He's a war criminal who has been charged by the International Criminal Court. And what you will find is that is an opinion that is held by many purely because of what his actions have wrought over these last many years. I've also said that I will follow the laws that we have here in New York City because I believe that there's an importance in following the law as a leader who presides over our city, and that's something that I plan to do.
Now, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for Netanyahu's arrest in 2024 for alleged war crimes against humanity in Gaza. Now, Netanyahu denies these allegations, and because the U.S. does not recognize the ICC's jurisdiction, Mamdani has no legal authority to arrest Netanyahu. President Trump also weighed in on Truth Social today. He wrote this in part: Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America, end quote. But that statement, as you can imagine, is not stopping the controversy from brewing further. Moments ago, I spoke to Israel's ambassador, to the United Nations, Danny Danon, and here's what he told me. Ambassador, I want to start with your reaction to Mayor Mamdani reasserting over the weekend that he is actively reviewing whether Prime Minister Netanyahu can be arrested during his anticipated visit here to New York in the fall for the UN General Assembly. I want to ask your reaction to that.
Well, we all know it's a stunt, no basis to these remarks of the mayor. He wants to distract the conversation from his failures in running the city and putting the blame on Israel. But he knows better than that. First of all, the U.S. is not part of the ICC. So there is no warrant against the Prime Minister in the U.S., and there is no jurisdiction for the mayor. Second thing, there is an agreement between the U.S. and the UN when leaders come to speak at the UN. I'll give you a few examples, Hena. Ahmadinejad came and spoke at the UN. You had Muammar Gaddafi, Yasser Arafat. Those leaders who were dictators were allowed to come and speak here. So the Prime Minister about democracy, the ally of the U.S. will not come. Excuse my language, but it's bullshit. Prime Minister Netanyahu will come in September, will visit the UN, will speak in the General Assembly, and the only thing the mayor can do is sit in the sidelines and maybe learn something about the rule of law.
You're absolutely right. The mayor has no jurisdiction. On top of everything you just said, the president made it very clear today that the prime minister will not be arrested when he comes to New York. But it is a strong statement. As UN ambassador, have you shared any concerns with the PM about setting foot here in the city in a few weeks?
No concerns, because we have zero concerns. We know the facts, we know the legal situation where we are standing, and we know it's a stunt. I was in politics for many years, and the Prime Minister has been in public life for decades. So we know when you need to get attention, you find a way to do it, and that's exactly what Mayor Mamdani is doing. And if someone should be arrested, it's maybe the mayor himself should be arrested, because he's actually supporting terrorism. I'll give you a few examples. A few days ago, he sent his commissioner to the UN to meet with the Iranian representative. While the U.S. soldiers are fighting the regime in Tehran, the mayor wanted to have a dialogue with this regime. And a few weeks ago, he actually called a terrorist that we eliminated a journalist, an innocent journalist. So we know it's a stunt. The mayor is instigating, is promoting anti-Semitism, but we feel proud with the partnership with the American people. That is why the Prime Minister has no doubts about his speech in the UN.
I do want to talk about the relationship. Israel and the U.S. have been great allies for decades. Recently, we saw more than 100-plus Democrats vote to cut aid for Israel. This was an amendment brought by a Republican. And there's also a recent AP poll I want to bring up. It found even Mayor Mamdani is more popular among American Jews than the Prime Minister. And the recent comment from Vice President Vance on Joe Rogan warning that critiques of him aside, Israel has a perception problem among younger Republicans. I want to read a part of what the Vice President said. I've never heard a good, compelling argument for why I'm an anti-Semite, even though I've been accused of being an anti-Semite by many people. But it's what always was I say to these guys is look at public opinion. Look at the way young Republicans versus Republicans over the age of 65 approach this issue. Right now, Israel is losing the public opinion battle in the U.S. It is a simple and obvious fact. Donald Trump has said that publicly, end quote. Ambassador, do you have concerns about how Israel is being perceived by Americans today?
First, let's set the record straight. No one blamed the vice president of being an anti-Semite. We have enough anti-Semite at the UN, around the world. We actually appreciate the friendship we have with the administration, and we are grateful for that. But we do understand that we have a problem. It has been tough 3 years for us since October 7th. The first few weeks, everyone loved us. We were the victims. But when we started to fight back and to make sure that we defeat the evil forces who came to destroy us, we started to lose points, unfortunately. And it was very easy to spread lies against Israel. All those slogans about genocide and starvation, we know it was a lie, but it's very hard to deal with those lies. So we are aware of that. We will continue to have a dialogue with the young generation. Hena, for me, the best way is to bring people to Israel. If I could extend through you an open invitation to people to come to Israel, to see what we are doing there, the value of democracy, the freedom that we have for everyone, people would appreciate the bond between Israel and the U.S.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.